There you are. See your fingers. Hey.
You're right.
Uh,
You're right.
yeah. Okay, I can hear you. Okay, cool, man. So, thanks for joining the live here. I really appreciate you, stepping up and talking to us because I think right now it's like super secretive as to what's going on with all this CT pack scanning stuff, and it's unfortunate, right? Like I think we were chatting earlier. Like this has probably been going a long time with sports cards and things like that. So I just want to first say thank you very much for talking with us
I'm sorry. Can I
and
stop you for one moment?
yeah.
I'm. Are you on like a loop or like a delay? Because I'm hearing two things at once with the delay.
You're hearing two things at once. Are you hearing me talk twice, sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm hearing you talk twice and then like 10 seconds of delay.
Okay.
I know
Let me
my experience with this.
let me try removing my microphone here. Do I sound any different, or is there still a delay?
It's really difficult for me. Okay, all right. Can you put your arm up? Okay, that's live. Say something.
Hello.
I am hearing myself as well. This is terrible. This whole experience has been really bad.
I know, right? You would think Facebook would have their stuff together by now. Do you want to like try to close the app and rejoin? Because I have a feeling there's just something glitchy going on right now.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Yo, what's up, Vintage Wings? So, pretty rough start to this live, but we're trying to talk to the person who broke the news on CT scanning Pokemon packs. So, yeah. Yeah, apologize for the slight bumps in the road here, but to be expected. This is the first live I've done where I've tried to add somebody else to the live, so it's even new to me. Okay, there he is. Let's try to do this again. All right, here he comes. Okay, any better?
I'm afraid to say anything at all because it was pretty crazy, but so far this looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
All right.
Nice.
Well, we had 15 minutes of technical difficulties, so it's a good start. I'm not an expert in Instagram. I had to download the Instagram app. I just don't use it. So.
How long did it take you to put that YouTube video together, by the way?
I basically saw the other, like, kind of that somebody else kind of went public before I did, and I was very sad, and then I took a sick day, and I just kind of spent, like, I recorded myself talking, just, like, I saw it, and I was just, like, great, and I just, like, I'm like, I gotta record myself just telling my whole story, and I went for, like, 13 minutes, and I just talked, and then the next day, I took a sick day, and I just spent, like, 12 hours making the video.
Yeah. The video did seem like a stream of consciousness, if you will.
Very much stream of consciousness. And the
I loved how it ended, and you're like, and yeah, so that's
goodbye.
and I've completely broke the news on the entire, cat's out of the bag situation with all this.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Hey,
no fun intended.
I'm glad. No, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's good news that it's out there because, again, I feel like people have been doing this and just not disclosing it, especially big players in the game. So if it's cool with you, we'll just rattle off some questions here. We'll save some time at the end of the live here for questions from the community. But let's get rocking and rolling. And feel free if you've got questions or whatever, we can sidebar stuff too. But
sure. How do you use Instagram?
So first off, what's your relationship with Mark Zuckerberg? No, I'm just joking.
I watched The Social Network. Like 2 weeks later, someone told me I had to watch it because I was going to get like Winklevoss or whatever. And I mean, they were totally right, but that's my only relationship.
Yeah. So So let's start off from the beginning, like outside of just this whole CT stuff. Like, what's your relationship with Pokemon? Like, when did you first get into it? And, what was your first, like, was it the games, the
I
cards?
mean, like any kid who, like, I'm 29, any kid who was a 90s kid, it was everything. It was like every party or birthday was Pokemon. It was what you wanted as a gift. Like my happiest childhood memory was I lost my Game Boy Color and I woke up with the Pokemon, like the Game Boy Advance with Pokemon Crystal, like literally under my pillow. My dad went out and bought it for me. I was stuck in a mall and like Pokemon Yellow, like that's what I was like looking at in the mall. Um, and then yeah, the box of like it was the truth in the video was there was this uh, box of cards, actually like a deck box, which sillily enough, you actually know exactly what's in the blackout deck. And my dad would not let me open it, and I'm like, I want to know what's in there. Can't we just open it? And he's like, no, it'll be worth something someday. And then eventually, when I was able to I learned about x-rays and then I got the chance to buy a machine. I'm like, this is definitely something I want to try work on.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure. No, I mean, so you've been like in the I don't know, is it called the CT scanning industry, or is there like a more proper name for it?
Well, yeah, like industrial, like non-invasive imaging, or industrial inspection. Not the company. It's just that's a really common like term for what I do. So yeah, I was in CT scanning for a few years. My company did it as a service. I measured things for a living basically for several years. Now I build machines, so that's exciting. I recently moved for a job, and then before that, I studied biomedical imaging for my master's, so that was kind of relevant.
Dang, masters at your age, that's very impressive.
At
Nice.
29?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of an old man, I feel like. But
So like does like the port authority, is this they're like scanning like containers and stuff like that, or is that kind of stuff going on? Is that what
yeah.
stuff
So,
being shipped in, customs and stuff?
well, so customs, no, because I bought it local pickup only on eBay. It was literally like driving distance from my house. It was in a guy's garage. Um, because this is America and that can happen. I've actually bought like x-ray sources. Like you can I bought an x-ray source from the United Arab Emirates, and it just comes in with nothing through customs or anything. It's really kind of a little bit disturbingly easy. But then once you have it, you have to get it like registered with the state, and you have to do a radiation inspection. And I mean, the machine is encased in lead. It's not like a hospital CT scanner where it's like open and the radiation's flying out everywhere. It's a little different than that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I know there's been a lot of jokes in the comments about like getting radiation and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
was wondering, like, do you have to step out of the room and hit a button or something? But yeah, okay.
No, no. I kind of try not to engage with some of the internet. Like I want to correct people, but there's a certain level of like people just kind of don't know about it. People think it's like microwave. Some people like people had a discussion like, can you make a microwave do this? And they're like, yeah, you just have to tune the frequency. And I'm like, no. Or that it makes the packs radioactive. It doesn't. Or that I'm radioactive. I am a little bit because I eat bananas. But yeah.
Nice. So, uh, when did you originally get this idea to like scan packs? Like, was this a while ago, or just because it seems like you scan a lot of interesting stuff? I saw you scanned a turtle recently. I don't know if it was alive, but
It was not. It was not. No, it had fainted.
oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, small Blastoise. It was preserved in like formaldehyde. It was like I said, I moved, so my machine is currently several thousand miles away. And it was like before I and the last month, because of everything crazy that's happened, I kind of like it's been running nonstop, doing experiments and everything. And so it was like I want to scan something else for my last thing to scan. So I found a small turtle, and yeah.
So going
But
back to the question, like when did you get the idea of maybe you could scan a pack? Was that recent or a while ago?
I wasn't really specifically looking at the idea of packs. It was more just like, can you get contrast on cards, specifically Pokemon cards? And it was like, so it was really when I started my job with industrial CT scanning that I kind of thought about like, now this is the machine that you could do it with. And I kind of posed the question. I was like, could you do this? And pretty much everyone said no for some reason or another. They said, okay, because the ink and the paper are the same, or because the cards are pressed together, or because it's too long and flat and things like that. And kind of like that, worked over in my brain. Well, but you could do this, you could do that, but it was really about a little over a year ago when I got my own machine that I was able to actually like empirically test this stuff. Because when you have it as a job, some places you can do this thing for fun, and then other places you really can't. And even then, you wouldn't be able to own the data or get intellectual property on it. So you really have to have your own thing and do it on your own time. But it was really when I got my machine a little over a year ago, and then when I worked on the ancient scrolls, which is a very relevant task, that's what led me to figure this out a certain amount of time ago.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very interesting. And yeah, I think you even included a clip where they were kind of talking about your project.
Yeah, yeah. That was the CEO of GitHub, by the way, who was talking.
Oh, wow.
That
very
was
cool.
Nat Friedman. Yeah, the founder of Google was there. The Wolfram Alpha guy was there. It was, I mean, like, you didn't know because he just kind of looked like a hobo. But don't get mad at me, Steve Wolfram. But yeah, it was really cool to hear.
That's awesome. So, what kind of other stuff have you been scanning just for fun besides turtles?
I mean, I scanned a Snickers bar and a Kit Kat. A lot of the things in the cards area. I mean, for work, I scanned all sorts of interesting stuff. I mean, mostly industrial stuff, but occasionally we get like a bassoon or a missile. They're mostly bottle caps, a lot of bottle caps. But I mean, like, that's the thing about having your own machine. Whatever you want is you can put bugs in there if you want, and then it falls, and you can say, oh, that's why there's a bug in the machine.
Nice, nice. Yeah, so I mean, what do you think this does to like the sealed industry, if you want to call it that? Like people hanging on to boxes or packs. Like, do you think this is going to have like a negative impact or something like that? Because I think you kind of briefly talked about that, but I don't know if you want to maybe estimate where we're going to be in like 5 or 10 years. Like, if this is going to be as common as a service as PSA, if you will.
Well, I mean, there's things that I thought it would end up being, and then there's things that already have kind of taken place. So I can like, I had an optimistic view, and now I have a more realistic view. And from what I thought is, so I figured this out a certain amount of time ago, like on the scale of like months before, like there was kind of a flurry of activity, and it was on the scale of like a few months before that. Okay, so not a huge amount of time, but I'd like to say that I was the first, but I don't, you really have no idea. Okay. Um, so what I was thinking was the moment this information goes public, regardless of how difficult it is, it's going to change people's perspective and people's minds about what is in the thing that they're buying. Because if you're buying a $10,000 first edition heavy base set pack, even if the service or the use of the machine is like $1,000, $2,000, in my opinion, you kind of have to assume it's been scanned if you even know it's possible. Now that a certain people are selling it as a service for kind of like a very cheap price for the very valuable packs, now you definitely have to assume that. So that's, I mean, in people's minds, why would you buy what is essentially a gamble if it's no longer gamble? Now it's probably got something that's less good. So there's that. I would personally expect fairly soon, maybe in the next couple of years, but fairly soon, for the standard to be a guaranteed hit for the very valuable stuff. Just like when you buy a pack that's a very heavy, like a very valuable pack like first edition base set, you don't trust that it's unweighed. You're like, no, just weigh it and tell me, and I'll pay you the fair market value. I think that's probably going to be it, and there's going to be tiers. And then at some point, it's also going to be subdivided. And okay, now it's not just a Charizard, but I guarantee that the condition is good and that the centering is good and things like that.
I had that actually in my head. I was thinking about, your video covered scanning a bunch of different holographic cards and, your Gengar that you found and stuff like that. interestingly enough, I think you could see the centering
Yeah, you
if
could. Yeah, you can.
right, which is crazy, right? Because now, I mean, maybe you can't account for the little white dot on the back corner or something like that. You could still potentially have a good guarantee that the centering, at least on the front, looks good. Because I think bottom line, you can't see the ink, right? Like all the other cards are still impossible to kind of see what's going on, correct?
I wouldn't say impossible, but it's a different problem, but I wouldn't say impossible. It's like the Herculaneum scrolls is, um, these scrolls, there's no, so like, so CT works by different materials absorb X-rays differently. And when they do so, they appear like as a different brightness, like whiter or darker. So for the foil and the ink on top of the foil, there's a clear difference, and so the human eye can see that. For regular ink, that doesn't really exist, but regular ink still has like physical mass. So in theory, you can differentiate regular ink, but you're not going to see it with a human eye. You would have to do like machine learning kind of a thing, like AI.
Interesting. Okay.
But the information's still there.
Okay, so there is potential, which could be valuable in its own way, because I imagine with that, then maybe you could catch whitening or condition, right?
Sure, yeah,
Or
yeah. Well, the condition you can already kind of do, because you can just directly look for like gross damage. You can directly do. You can look for counterfeits. You can see how many layers are in the card, if the paper has ever been damaged, like by water, and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I when we talk about X-ray, it brings up the whole Logan Paul first edition sealed case fiasco, where there ended up being GI Joe cards or whatever inside. But interestingly enough about that story, I remember them bringing it to somebody who X-rayed it, but
they did.
They didn't CT scan it, I don't think is the problem, right? They just like X-rayed it and saw, is there stuff in here? But now that I think about it, had they CT scanned it, they could have very quickly saw whether there was any holographic cards in there or not.
Well, not just the GI Joe cards look different, right? They're a different size, they're a different cut, they're a different material. That would have been pretty obvious.
Yeah. And maybe even with X-ray, maybe that should have been obvious, huh? Maybe they didn't even look at
Come on, I don't know. I never watched that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I remember watching some like documentary, if you will, about that whole thing. But yeah, it's interesting. So I'm curious, like, do you have plans on turning this into a business, or is this purely a hobby?
So I have a very good job that I just started like 3 days ago. And I'm working very hard on it. I build X-ray systems, like very advanced, like X-ray systems, like on the scale of like $5-10 million. It's like really, really like this is world leading stuff. So I'm very happy about that. I have a lot to learn, and I'm kind of really focused on that. And I didn't bring my machine with me either. And that's something that was kind of, I just didn't have a place to put it right away. I really would like to get it over. But as a service, like let's say just the simple scanning as a service, I did really want to do that. But like as a premium service where you get a certificate, you get the knowledge directly of what's in there. You don't have to like look through the data yourself. We tell you, you get centering information, you get the condition, you get like a mock grade, like PSA style, but maybe we'd set a new kind of standard. So that's something I really wanted to do, and I'm still willing to do, but it's not something I can really easily hack together in my spare time, maybe as a full-time job. I actually have a collection of good modern X-ray equipment, and I could make a good machine that was optimized for this, where you could scan quickly and very high quality and that kind of thing. If anybody wants to give me $1 million to do it, you know, you can find me at Wayne Strange Brain.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, but somebody beat me to the market, and I mean, I'm not very open about this. I have a patent pending on this that is very clearly being ignored very consciously. And, people can say, oh, you can't, patent looking inside something. But a patent has to be new, not like novel and non-obvious. And the key for non-obvious was this has been possible for decades, and all of a sudden, it's this thing that's this big new thing, and it's people are making money. So the patent office actually really does like that, especially if there's a market. And I am, I believe, first in line with that. But whatever, I'm not here to complain about that. But if that goes down the line and I get that patent, then absolutely. If I have actually like protection and I can more consciously make a business without getting undercut, then yeah, that is something I would like to do.
Yeah, and probably a heck of a lot easier to raise money if you do secure that as well. Because I imagine your $1,500 CT scanner might not be up to the production grade that you want it to be.
It's not. The damn thing runs Windows XP. So yeah.
Well, I think they just retired some warships that were using XP, so I don't think it's too far behind.
Right.
So, I mean, how difficult are they to operate? Is it require like a degree in itself, or is it pretty straightforward?
I wouldn't say it's straightforward. The machine I have is very esoteric. Like, it's been modified, and I've replaced a bunch of stuff, and like the time is forever on September 1st in the registry, so the X-rays don't have to warm up. But in terms of like a modern machine, my job was to teach people how to use that machine. And I mean, some people they learn quicker than others, but yeah, anybody like a good modern machine, yeah, you don't need a degree to operate it or a PhD in plasma physics or anything. They're meant to be operated just by anyone. But the actual scan process, there are some kind of funny things that you had to figure out. But like once you know what to do, yeah, you can just do it pretty much.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, in your video, you had one part where you were starting to flip through all the different pictures of holographic cards that you have. And then you mentioned something about AI. Do you want to elaborate a little bit what you mean by that?
Sure,
like, I'm curious,
sure.
was there like something that you did there?
Hey, what's your dog's name?
See, yeah.
Okay, hey.
Should be needy.
Okay. So basically, I actually didn't start with CT scanning at first. I thought of that as like, I knew it would be not like necessarily super easy, but I actually had a vision of a 2D imager where you could actually just go boop and go to a card shop or a collector's house and just take a single image. It'd be a portable device, and you would just immediately, you'd get an image of, well, who's that Pokemon? So that's what I was working on, and what actually I was doing, and I documented this. This I was a little bit more public about, but I actually used. I took images of what I call naked cards, so like individual holographic cards, and then I added noise to them, so individual regular non-holographic cards, and training machine learning models, UNets, CNNs or even classical things like, random forest or principal components analysis, Fourier transforms, to try and remove that noise and go from the blurry, disgusting image to a clean image. And that's something I was working on. And then it was really, because I failed, I have like a video of me, I had a mustache, and I look like 50 years old, and I have a video of me just like kind of like sad, like I've been working on this so long and it doesn't work. And then it was like a couple days after that, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do like a brute force CT thing like I had thought before, and within a couple of days I had done it. So
nice. Yeah,
that's kind of the story with that.
It was funny. Somebody sent me like one of those like dental office like x-ray cameras. They're like super cheap or whatever. You can buy them off of walmart.com.
Yeah, I got one.
He's like, hey, why don't you buy one of these and use it? I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work, man. Like, so.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Why, do you think that would work?
No comment.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I have a feeling even if it does, maybe it wouldn't be at the level that you're talking about doing this, right? Like knowing the actual condition of the card inside and stuff like that.
Right. Or a box. No, this would be for like a loose packs kind of thing. Loose packs only, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha. So are you getting bombarded with requests right now to like scan stuff, or are you trying to stay low key?
Um, Honestly, it was really, really crazy for a couple of weeks, and then mostly the attention kind of went to you can pay, somebody to, scan your cards. That's kind of really where it went. Like I was getting like my first day with the YouTube video was like 60 views, and then 600, then 66,000, then 60,000, and then as soon as I became a YouTube partner, it really, really petered off. Uh, I'm still like every day or every other day I get like an email, not generally like, can you scan my cards? But like some people who are like, I'm interested in this as a business. Can you please come over and scan all my cards for free? People who want to ask me about it. I get the occasional like, you suck. Like somebody found my personal phone number and called me because he invested his life savings in Pokemon cards. I mean, like the coolest email I feel like I got was there was a girl who had a brain tumor. She was actually in the news a few years ago because she was singing in the operating room while she was getting brain surgery. And she reached out to me because she joked while she was getting a brain scan, "Can you put my Pokemon cards in there?" So
Oh
really
wow,
a whole spectrum of people reaching out.
interesting. But right now you're like not taking requests, right? But the request to help me start a business, bro, is
I,
wild.
I've
Yeah.
had also a couple people flake on that. Like people who were really serious got me really riled up, and then were just like, never mind. That's happened 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. No, I bet. So uh, I'm I'm like curious. Do you think there are other big players in here that have known about this for quite some time?
I think probably with certain things like sports cards with big features, I think that's probably pretty likely. I don't know about like Pokemon specifically because it is kind of a more difficult problem, a little bit more stuff you have to do. It's really not as obvious as just throw it in a machine and you get it. There was a video about a year ago, the XCT chats. They're really cool. You should check them out. And they actually did go ahead and try it, and they didn't succeed, which was interesting because like that's like part of the prior art is look at these guys who knew their stuff and they did try the obvious thing and it didn't work, which is part of the non-obvious part of the equation, like for like IP protection.
Hmm.
But sports cards, yeah, like if there's like an action figure in the box or something, like yeah, you can just throw that in a medical scanner. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that I believe it was Nintendo Life that an article came out where you talked a bit about some details there. Do you want to maybe elaborate about maybe how the manufacturers could avoid this sort of scanning stuff in future products?
Absolutely. So, one of the places I've been reached out to by a certain number of major manufacturers of cards who do care about this and want to stop it because part of it is a consumer confidence problem. Even if this is a problem really for resellers, eventually that kind of trickles up, you might say, to the manufacturer. So it is a serious problem, and it's a big business. Trading cards are a pretty huge business. And so actually, when I first figured this out, my brain immediately went to, well, how could you stop this? And so I have experience in CT scanning and trying to do a good scan. And I was like, well, let's try and do the exact opposite of that. And so I just released a video called like how to discourage CT scanning, a guide for TCG manufacturers, link in the the Instagram thing he'll do. But the kind of the main things are there's kind of some process things that cost like nothing, and then there's some things you can like add to the box that cost between almost nothing to a more amount for very important things. And I can go through those categories if you like.
Yeah, well, so it was funny. People were like, "Oh, we're gonna get lead boxes and
Yeah,
stuff like that."
around the
And
box.
yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
like a lead box seems wild, but you're saying that maybe there could be ways to block it uh, altogether, like from scanning or something like that? Or it probably could it be done on a pack level, or would it be at a box level?
So to determined enough attacker, like if you're the government, I don't think anything will ever stop you from doing this. But there's things that are cheaper and more mass manufacturable and more effective than just putting lead around the box. And there are kind of, you can do it at the pack level and you can do it at the box level. And that's really kind of up to the manufacturer. There's things that you can do to like make it 10 times harder at the pack level that costs, less than a tenth of a cent. And then there's things you can do it at the box level that make it basically impossible, but maybe it costs like 25 cents or 50 cents. And that's really the issue, is the scale of it. So you could just put your box in a thing of lead if you could follow the environmental regulations of that, which are not trivial. But they're not going to do that because it's not cheap and it's not safe and it's not, mass manufacturable. But the basic ideas for poisoning packs or boxes, which is, again, something I also filed for IP protection for. I almost broken record with that, but I really hope this pays off like someday, like 30 years down the line. But you actually use randomized metal and dense patterns is a big one. So rather than putting lead around the whole box, you can use like tungsten powder or steel wool, and it's actually like meshes or fibers or powders. The artifacts and problems that occur from like x-rays going through them, they stack randomly, and that's way worse for the person reading a CT scan. So that's a big one. So I made like a poisoned card that I coated with a substance and I put in a pack and I scanned it. And you can watch the video, and the scan is just like absolute garbage.
Interesting. So it kind of radiates, if you will, through the rest of the pack, like in a sense, like it adds more noise or something like that.
Right. It absorbs x-rays, it changes the frequency of the x-rays, and it scatters the x-rays.
Very interesting. Yeah, because I figured this would be a very expensive. When you said toxic, I'm like thinking, is you putting rhodium on this box or something? But yeah, no, that's very cool. So do you think that that's going to probably be implemented one day, or do you think these manufacturers aren't up to putting that kind of money up yet?
I think there's going to be a risk reward thing. It really depends on how much maybe people buying new material takes a dip. People buy also new material as like a speculative investment, and they're not going to do that if they know that their material is going to be worth less, and it's kind of leading towards that scenario. So I think manufacturers are going to try and like ease the minds of the people, and it might not be necessarily that they have to make it foolproof. They just have to make it hard enough that it's not worth it for like from a monetary standpoint. So like here's an easy one. Where is the card in a base set pack? Where is the hit?
Is it 3 from behind?
Yeah, I think it's like the 4th position.
Yeah.
But it's always in the 4th position, and it's always facing the same way. And there's not really a whole lot of contrast in the cards, especially if you're trying to do like a quick scan. So if you don't know where the card is, it takes maybe more scans and a lot more time to find. And so that's something that the cost of manufacturer nothing, and all they have to do is put it in a different spot in the pack.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think they will start doing that.
That makes sense for cards like Pokemon. I think like things like patch cards and stuff, that would probably be a little bit more difficult though, right? Like you probably could immediately see like, oh, there's a thicker card in here or something, right? So
well, maybe because maybe you don't scan, let's say the whole pack. So I often scan just like a little piece of the pack. I can get a higher resolution that way, and I scan a piece of the pack that I know is most likely to give me the information that I need. So with big industrial fancy machines, this is less of an issue, but it still is an issue. So it's all kind of tipping the odds away from people who are trying to make the profit. So that's one. And there are a bunch of others like, Pokemon uses dense inks that light up on a CT scan, and you can stop doing that. So that's another one where it's not like it costs them nothing. They have to change their process. But once they do it, it's not like those non-dense inks cost any more than those dense inks.
Right. That makes sense. Interesting. Well, what uh, aside from your new job, like what are you up to next? Are you going to keep pushing on this, or is it just you're going to keep filing good ideas and hope it pays off one day?
I'm currently learning how to juggle pins, and I want to learn how to juggle flaming torches soon. So I like to unicycle. Like I mountain unicycle like down mountains at night with a flashlight. I have a video of that. And I like to juggle and unicycle and do kind of like street performing. I'm learning Chinese and Korean right now. And I hope maybe a Pokemon babe reaches out to me. That'd be nice. I can find a girlfriend.
I'm sure there will be for sure. You're a very smart person. I can tell just by talking to you that you've definitely got a lot ahead of you. I'm sure it's success, whether it's continuing this Pokemon scanning thing or maybe becoming the world record in fastest downhill unicycling. I'm sure you're going to be going places. So
Yeah,
I guess
down to the ground and going splat. Yeah.
So I guess as a final question here, what is your favorite Pokemon?
Uh, you asked me that question already, and I don't have an answer for it. I mean, when I was a kid and I was imagining myself with Pokemon, I mean, I was debating like the utility of them, and I was probably gonna get like a water type because it's like infinite mass. Because I was a nerd back then too, or like electricity would be good. Free electricity like a Pikachu or something. I don't have a favorite Pokemon. No, sorry.
Okay, no.
Uh,
My favorite was Blastoise, and so I
it's a good
think that
one.
goes along the lines of the turtle that you scanned and stuff. So I think Blastoise is your favorite. So.
Okay, yeah, you're. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Well, again, thank you very much for your time, Ahron. I really appreciate jumping on and sharing your knowledge here. And yeah, I mean, keep sharing and making content. It was completely groundbreaking your news on what's going on here. And I personally want to thank you for bringing light to this because I feel like this would have been going on a lot more maybe even about these other companies that are now offering services. If it weren't for you, I don't think it would have gotten as big as it did. So whether it's for the worse or the better,
Kind of my fault, but yeah.
I still think it's a good thing that it's out in the open now. So there's no more secrets. I mean, so thank you for
Oh,
hopping on here, and
thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Thank you very
All
much. All
right.
right. Thanks everybody that joined. Ciao.